you, the fourth man in the fire. Daniel had to go to the lion's den, but he said, that's all right. I'm Emmanuel, God with you in the lion's den. Jonah disobeyed and had to go into the belly of a whale, but he said, that's all right. I'm Emmanuel. I'm God with you. David had to hide in the cave, but he said, that's all right. I'm Emmanuel. I'm in the cave with you, David. Paul and Silas had to be thrown in prison, but right there at midnight, God said, that's all right. I'm Emmanuel. I am with you. John the Revelator had to be thrown on the Isle of Patmos and left all by himself, except for the fact that God was with him. Sometimes you've got to be in a pen, and sometimes you've got to be trapped, and sometimes life is painful and difficult, and you think God's just going to snatch you out of every problem. He will not do it, but He will look down and say, I will come and stand by your side. I will be with you through the fire. I will swim with you through the flood. And I tell you this, I'd rather be a Hebrew boy in the fire with God than a Hebrew boy out of the fire without God any day of the week. I'd rather be in the trial with Him than on the mountaintop without Him. I'd rather be in the valley with His presence than on the mountain by myself. Because if God be with me, I'll make it. You see, when I look at God coming into situations, I discover that anything God gets in, it all works out. You can't tell me one time where God has stepped into someone's life or a situation that it hasn't worked out. You see, when God gets with you, God knows how to get with it. Jesus knows how to get with it. Oh, we use that phrase. It's all right to use it here in God's house. He knows how to get with it. When He steps in, He gets the job done. I mean, think about that first Christmas for just a minute. Think about the fact that there is a barnyard scene. Now, let's not glamorize the stable for a minute. It is a barnyard. It smells bad. It's loud and noisy. It is bitter cold. This is just a shack set up somewhere, maybe even a cave. This is nothing. This is a damp, cold, smelly stable. And for some of you, I just described the life that you live sometimes. That's the way life is, isn't it? It's damp, it's cold, it's smelly, it's bad, it's difficult. Now think about this. It is into that ugly, raunchy setting that Emmanuel is laid. And 2,000 years later, what do? We take a raunchy stable and manger and we put them in our front yard. We turn lights on. We shine lights on and glamorize it. How could a raunchy, smelly stable that nobody cared about turn into something that we put on the front lawn and say, everybody, look at the stable? The difference is Jesus got with it. And when Jesus gets with it, He turns the dirty and the smelly and the raunchy into something that you hold up and say, look at this. Isn't this wonderful? Isn't this glorious? It was ugly yesterday, but now it's beautiful. And the only difference is Jesus Christ, Emmanuel, stepped into my life. And when He stepped in, He broke the chains of my life, and He made the ugly beautiful, and He made the low high, and He made the binding free, and He made everything that was low now wonderful. That's what He does. He just knows how to get with it. You see, God told me to tell some people this morning. Some of you think you need a new scenery. You need God to pluck you out of where you are and give you something new and fresh. That's what we always want, isn't it? Oh, God, just take me somewhere else. Just change the scenery. Change my life. Get me in another situation. Get me in another place. God told me to tell you, you don't need another place. You just need Jesus to get where you are. Once He gets where you are, it's not ugly anymore. Now, I know this is just basic teaching and preaching this morning, but that's all right, isn't it? Just get Jesus where you are and everything seems to work out fine. I thought about all the stable experiences that Christ has stepped into in my life. And what if He had just taken me out of those stables? I wouldn't have the stories to tell that I do now of God's faithfulness and glory. Oh yeah, I was born into an ugly stable. Pastor, are you going to go there and share that story about you being born club-footed again? You better believe I am. Every chance I get. You see, I overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of my testimony. Yeah, I was born into a stable experience, born club-footed. Worst case, those particular doctors had ever seen, they told my parents he'll never walk. There's not a chance in this world. If he does, he'll shuffle his feet. He'll never be normal. It's just not going to happen. We'll do the best we can. I'm born into a stable. My parents are huddled over a stable. It's smelly. It's dark. It's bitter cold. People are crying. Don't know what to do. My baby boy is right there, and I'm laying there and know that I'm in a world of hurt. Don't even understand it at that early age, but I'm born into a stable. Now, God could have just let that not happen, and that would have been fine, and that would have been well. But my family began to pray and said, come be with us. Come, Emmanuel, be with us. And Jesus said, well, I'm not going to just totally heal him right there. He's going to have to go through 3 surgeries. He's going to have to wear a cast on his feet until he's about 2 years old. He's going to have to go through a lot. But here I come, stepping off the throne right into the situation. Emmanuel. And now I got a story to tell about God's healing power and his goodness. Emmanuel. Now, this may not come as a surprise to some of you because I still stumble over my words sometime, but when I was a little boy, I had some speech impediment problems. Couldn't quite pronounce my words correctly. Bird was Boyd, and I had all of these issues going on, couldn't get my R's down, and God knew at that early of an age that he was going to call me to preach, and he said, I got to do something about this. Now, God could have just totally let me be born without that problem. And I could have just come right out of the womb just pronouncing everything absolutely perfectly, but I didn't. And I had to go through speech therapy, and I had to sit in classes and say, policeman, and enunciate and learn to say my words correctly. I had to go through all of that, but God said, I'm coming down from the throne, and I'm going to be Emmanuel right there with you. And then he put a microphone in my hand, and he said, you use that voice now to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Emmanuel, he is God with us. When Drake was born, December 30th, 2003, to show how naive I am, I've never seen a baby be born. He comes out and he's blue. He's not crying. I'm standing there and I'm completely clueless. I don't know what's supposed to happen. I know the doctors aren't handing him to me. They're not handing him to Wendy. I know that during the labor, the doctor seemed pretty nervous there towards the end, and I was standing by Wendy, and finally they pushed me out of the way, and they said, we need to get there and we need to talk to her. And I could tell something wasn't right, but I didn't have a clue. And then I look over and see my mother's face, and it's as white as one of those Kleenexes. And I realize this isn't supposed to be what it is. He'd gotten trapped as he was coming out, lost oxygen. And when he was born, he had no oxygen there. Now, God could have made that just absolutely perfect. And that would have been fine. But we were there, and maybe that moment only lasted 60 seconds, but it felt like an eternity. I didn't have time to pray. I didn't even know what to pray. I didn't know what was going on. This whole span's only about 90 seconds. I don't know what's happening. But there is a God in heaven who looked down and said, here I come. I am Emmanuel. I am God with you. And maybe you think this is small and insignificant, but it's enormous to me. They just took him right over there, took one of those little breathing things and went, whoosh, and he said, wah, wah, wah. And he woke right up, and if you see him running around here, you see he's got no problems. He's got more energy than most 5-year-olds would have because God is Emmanuel. He is God with us. How many times have I shared the situation I went through in 2008? Trial where I felt the pressure of ministry and the pressure of life closing in around me. I've shared it with you so many times. It was 8 or 9 weeks ago now that I reached that breaking point. The pressure of everything. And when I say that, don't try to read between the lines saying, what was it? It wasn't anything. It was just everything. It was just a trial. It's just one of those things that we all go through, and your pastor goes through them too. It was a deep, dark, midnight experience. And I prayed that God would take me out of it. I did. God, get me out of this. Get me out. But there in the middle of the night on a Sunday night rolling into Monday morning as I lay awake in bed, I looked up to heaven and I said, Lord, it's obvious you're not going to just solve this and get me out of it. But Lord, either I believe you are God or I don't. Either I believe you're with me or I don't. And in that moment I said, I believe. I really do, God.